The scent hit me first. Expensive perfume that wasn't mine, clinging to Lena's silk scarf like a guilty secret. 2 in the morning, and my wife stumbled through our front door with mascara smeared and lies ready on her lips. Working late again? I asked from the kitchen doorway, coffee mug in hand, watching her fumble with her purse. You know how Carter gets about the Morrison account. Lena's voice carried that practiced exhaustion she'd perfected over the past 3 months. The client dinner ran forever. Carter Bell, her boss at Prestige Marketing, the kind of guy who wore $1,000 suits to intimidate small-town clients, the kind of man who saw everything as conquerable, including other men's wives. Must have been some dinner. I gestured to the lipstick stain on her collar. Definitely not her shade. That's not your color, sweetheart. Lena's hand flew to her neck. Monica spilled wine. I borrowed her lipstick to touch up. The lie came so easily I almost admired the craftsmanship. Monica wears burgundy, not coral. I'd noticed things like that during our 12 years of marriage. Back when I thought attention to detail mattered. She kicked off her heels with more force than necessary. God, Drew, you're like a detective sometimes. Can't a woman have a rough night without getting interrogated? Depends on what kind of rough we're talking about. The words hung between us like a challenge. Lena's eyes flashed, anger mixed with something else. Guilt, maybe. Or calculation. I'm going to bed. She grabbed her purse, clutching it protectively against her chest. But she'd forgotten the golden rule of deception. Never let your guard down until you're completely alone. As she headed upstairs, papers scattered from her bag across our hardwood floor. Business documents, receipts, and something that made my blood freeze. A surrogacy contract, signed and notarized. I picked up the papers with trembling hands, scanning the legal jargon until the names jumped out at me. Lena Matheson, surrogate mother. Carter Bell, intended father. Compensation, $50,000 plus medical expenses. My wife was carrying another man's baby. And not just any man. Her boss, the pompous bastard who'd been circling our marriage like a shark for months. Drew? Lena's voice drifted down from upstairs. Are you coming to bed? I gathered the papers, my mind racing. Just locking up, I called back, my voice surprisingly steady. But I wasn't locking up. I was breaking into the truth my wife had been hiding. While Lena showered, I powered up her laptop. She'd always been careless with passwords, writing them on sticky notes she thought I never noticed. Carter B2023? How romantic. Her email inbox was a goldmine of betrayal. Messages that started professional and devolved into something that made my stomach churn. Carter's promises about their special arrangement. Lena's excitement about the money and what it could buy them. Them, not us. The most recent exchange was from yesterday. Carter, can't wait to see you tonight. The penthouse is ready. Lena, Drew's getting suspicious. We need to be more careful. Carter, don't worry about your husband. After the baby comes, you won't need him anymore. Lena, promise me we'll have everything we talked about. The house in Portland, the agency partnership. Carter, you're carrying my heir, darling. You'll have whatever you want. Heir. Like he was some kind of royalty instead of a middle-aged ad executive with a receding hairline and an overpriced watch. I printed everything, my hands shaking with rage. 12 years of marriage, and she'd sold herself to the highest bidder. Not for love, not even for lust, for money and status. The two things that had always mattered more to Lena than our vows. The shower stopped running upstairs. I quickly closed the laptop and slipped the emails into my toolbox, right next to the surrogacy contract. Evidence for later. Lena appeared in the kitchen wearing her silk robe, hair wrapped in a towel. She looked beautiful, glowing even. I'd thought it was happiness. Now I knew better. How far along? I asked quietly. She froze. What? The pregnancy. How far along are you? The color drained from her face. I don't know what you're... 8 weeks? 10? I pulled out the contract, watching her world crumble in real time. When were you planning to tell me? Or were you just going to let me think I was going to be a father? Lena sank into a kitchen chair, her composure finally cracking. You don't understand. This isn't what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like my wife signed up to be a baby factory for her rich boss. It looks like you've been planning your exit strategy for months. It's not like that. Her voice rose to a desperate pitch. Carter needed someone he could trust, someone discreet. The money, $50,000. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's what our marriage is worth? 50 grand and a promise from a man who cheats on his wife? His wife doesn't understand him. Jesus Christ, Lena. Listen to yourself. You're quoting the cheater's handbook. She stood up, wrapping her robe tighter around her body, the body that was carrying another man's child. You wouldn't understand. You've never had ambition. You're content fixing other people's problems for minimum wage while the world passes you by. The words hit like physical blows. My contracting business wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. I fixed things that were broken, solved problems that seemed impossible. Apparently, I just couldn't fix my own marriage. So this is about money? It's about opportunity. Lena's mask was completely off now, revealing the calculating woman underneath. Carter's offering me a partnership in the agency. A real future, not this small-town mediocrity. And the baby? What happens when you deliver Carter's heir? For the first time, she looked uncertain. We'll figure that out. No, Lena. You'll figure that out. Because I won't be here. I headed toward the door, grabbing my keys and wallet. I needed air, space, time to think, without looking at the stranger wearing my wife's face. Where are you going? She called after me. To get some perspective. Don't wait up. The Bait and Tackle was the kind of bar that opened early and closed late, catering to fishermen, contractors, and anyone else who needed a drink and no questions asked. Pete Morrison had owned it for 20 years, serving as bartender, therapist, and unofficial town historian. You look like hell, Pete said as I slumped onto a bar stool. Whiskey or beer? Whiskey. Make it a double. He poured without comment, waiting for me to start talking. That was Pete's gift, knowing when to speak and when to listen. My wife's pregnant, I said finally. Congratulations. Pete's tone suggested he knew there was more to the story. It's not mine. Pete whistled low. Damn, Drew, I'm sorry. I pulled out my phone, showing him one of the emails I'd photographed. She's carrying her boss's baby. For money. Pete read in silence, his expression growing darker with each line. Carter Bell? That pretentious ass who drives the BMW? You know him? He comes in sometimes, throwing money around like he owns the place. Always talking about his business ventures and investment opportunities. Most of us figured he was full of shit. Turns out he was investing in my wife. Pete refilled my glass without being asked. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. But I'm done being the fool in this story. As I spoke, my phone buzzed with a text from Lena. We need to talk. This doesn't have to end our marriage. I showed Pete the message. He snorted. She's got balls, I'll give her that. She's got something, all right. I typed back. It already has ended. The question is how messy the divorce gets. Her response was immediate. Think about what you're throwing away. We can work through this. Work through what? Your pregnancy with another man's child? It's just business, Drew. It doesn't change how I feel about you. I stared at the screen, amazed by her audacity. Just business? You're carrying his baby, Lena. His heir, according to your emails. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times before her next message. You read my emails? Your password is his name and birth year. You weren't exactly covering your tracks. No response for several minutes. Then, we'll discuss this when you get home. Don't do anything stupid. I showed Pete the exchange. He shook his head in disgust. She's still trying to control the narrative, like you're the problem here. Maybe I am. Maybe I should have seen this coming. Bullshit. You trusted your wife. That's what married people do. Not anymore. I finished my whiskey and stood up. I need to figure out my next move. Whatever you decide, you've got friends here. Don't forget that. But as I drove home through the empty streets of our small Maine town, I wondered if that would still be true once word got out. Lena had connections, influence. Her family had money and social standing. I was just the contractor who'd married above his station. The house was dark when I arrived, but I could see Lena's silhouette in our bedroom window, waiting, probably planning her next move, figuring out how to spin this situation to her advantage. I sat in my truck for a long time, staring up at that window and remembering the woman I'd married, or thought I'd married. The Lena I'd fallen in love with had been ambitious, but not ruthless, driven, but not calculating. When had she changed? Or had I just been too blind to see who she really was? My phone buzzed again. Another message from Lena. I know you're out there. Come inside. We can fix this. I typed back, some things can't be fixed. But even as I sent the message, I was already planning. Lena thought she held all the cards, that her pregnancy and Carter's promises made her untouchable. She was wrong. I might be just a contractor from a small town, but I knew how to tear things down before building them back up. And sometimes, destruction was exactly what a situation needed. The next morning, I woke up on my office couch with a crick in my neck and a crystal clear sense of purpose. Lena had texted 6 more times during the night, her messages evolving from conciliatory to angry to desperate. I deleted them all without reading past the first few words. My contracting business occupied a converted garage behind Tom Henley's auto shop. It wasn't much, a desk, filing cabinets, and enough space to plan jobs, but it was mine. Unlike my marriage, apparently. I was reviewing blueprints for a kitchen renovation when my neighbor, Harold Cormier, knocked on the door. Harold was 73, retired from the Portland Police Department, and had the kind of observational skills that came from 30 years of detective work. Heard you had some excitement last night, he said, settling into the chair across from my desk. News travels fast. Small town. Plus, your wife was making quite a bit of noise when you left. Sounded upset. Harold had a way of stating facts that invited confession. I found myself telling him everything, the contract, the emails, Carter's promises about their future together. Surrogate, huh? Harold stroked his gray beard thoughtfully. That's a new one. Usually affairs are about emotion. This sounds more like a business transaction. $50,000 plus a partnership in Carter's agency. And what does Carter get besides a baby? I hadn't thought about it from that angle. What do you mean? Think like a detective, Drew. Rich man, younger woman, complicated arrangement. What's his real motivation? He wants an heir, someone to carry on his legacy. Maybe. Or maybe he wants control. Over Lena, over the situation, over you. Harold leaned forward. Men like Carter don't just want things, they want to win. And beating you might be half the appeal. The observation hit home. Carter had always treated me with barely concealed contempt. The successful businessman looking down on the local handyman. Taking my wife wasn't just about desire. It was about dominance. So what do? Gather information, know your enemy, and figure out what winning looks like for you. After Harold left, I spent the morning researching Carter Bell. Social media, business records, local newspaper archives. The picture that emerged was of a man who'd built his success on other people's work and wasn't particularly careful about covering his tracks. Prestige marketing had been struggling before Carter bought it 3 years ago. Since then, he'd landed several major accounts through what the Business Journal called aggressive relationship building. Reading between the lines, it sounded like Carter specialized in finding people's weaknesses and exploiting them. My phone rang around noon. Lena. We need to talk, she said without preamble. I thought we did that last night. You ran away before we could have a real conversation. I left before I said something we'd both regret. A pause, then, I'm at the house. Come home so we can discuss this like adults. Adults don't lie about carrying other men's babies. God damn it, Drew. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're being deliberately obtuse. Am I? Because from where I'm sitting, the situation seems pretty clear. Just come home, please. Something in her voice, desperation, maybe fear, made me reconsider. Fine. But this isn't a negotiation, Lena. I'm not bargaining for my wife back. I know, just, come home. The house felt different when I walked in, like a stage set for a play I didn't want to be in. Lena was in the living room, dressed in her best jeans and a sweater that emphasized her still flat stomach. She'd done her makeup carefully, the way she used to for our anniversary dinners. "You look tired," she said. "I slept on my office couch." Seemed more honest than pretending everything was normal. She winced. "About last night, I handled that badly. I was shocked, defensive. I should have explained things better." "Explained what? That you're having an affair with your boss and carrying his child for money?" "It's not an affair." Lena's voice rose. "It's a business arrangement. Carter needed a surrogate, someone discreet and trustworthy. I needed the money for us, for our future." "Our future?" "Lena, you're planning to leave me for him." "That's not—" She stopped, caught in the lie. "It's complicated." "No, it's really not. You made a choice. You chose him." Lena sat down heavily on our couch, the one we'd picked out together 5 years ago. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. The agency is competitive. Carter's been grooming me for a partnership, but there are conditions. Like carrying his baby, like proving my loyalty, my commitment to the company's success." I stared at her, amazed. "Listen to yourself. You're talking about having a man's child like it's a performance review. You think I wanted this?" Her composure cracked, revealing something raw underneath. "You think I wanted to complicate our marriage? Risk everything we've built? Then why did you?" "Because I'm tired, Drew. Tired of living paycheck to paycheck. Tired of watching my friends succeed while we struggle to pay the mortgage. Tired of being married to someone who's content with mediocrity." There it was, the truth she'd been hiding behind business arrangements and loyalty tests. I wasn't enough for her. I'd never been enough. "So you sold yourself to upgrade?" "I invested in our future." "Our future?" I pulled out my phone, reading from one of her emails. "After the baby comes, you won't need him anymore." That's Carter talking about me, Lena. "Your business partner thinks I'm disposable." She looked away. "He doesn't understand our relationship." "What relationship?" "You're carrying his child and planning a life with him. What part of that includes me?" I hoped we could work something out. Some kind of arrangement." "An arrangement?" I laughed bitterly. "Like what? I get weekends and holidays while you play house with your boss? You're twisting everything." "I'm reading your own words." I scrolled through more emails. "Can't wait to start our new life together. Drew will understand eventually. The house in Portland has enough room for all of us." "All of us, Lena? Were you planning to make me the live-in babysitter?" She stood up abruptly. "I can see you're not ready to have a rational discussion about this." "Rational? You want rational?" I stood too, facing her across our living room. "Here's rational. You're pregnant with another man's child. You've been planning to leave me for months. You've lied about everything from working late to loving me. The rational response is divorce." "I do love you." "No. You love what I represent. Stability. Security. Someone to fall back on if your business arrangement goes south." Lena's face hardened. "Fine. If that's how you want to play this, I'll call my lawyer." "Good, so will I." She headed for the stairs, then turned back. "You should know. I'm not giving up the house. My name's on the deed, too. Your name's on a lot of things. Doesn't make them yours." After she left for work, I sat in our kitchen and made a list. Assets, debts, shared accounts. All the financial entanglements of a 12-year marriage. On paper, we were roughly equal partners. In reality, Lena had been planning her exit strategy for months, while I'd been obliviously paying bills and planning our future. But I had advantages she didn't know about. The emails, for one thing. Evidence of her affair and the surrogacy arrangement. In Maine, adultery was still grounds for divorce, and judges didn't look kindly on spouses who hid assets or made major financial decisions without consultation. More importantly, I knew things about Carter Bell that Lena didn't. His business practices, his reputation in town, his weakness for younger women and risky ventures. Harold was right. I needed to know my enemy. I called Pete at the bar. "I need a favor." "Name it." "Information about Carter Bell. Anything you can find out about his business, his personal life, his habits. I'm going to war, and I need ammunition." "Consider it done. But Drew, be careful. Men like Carter don't fight fair." "Neither do I. Not anymore. That afternoon, I drove past Prestige Marketing's offices, a glass and steel building that looked out of place in our small coastal town. Carter's BMW was in the parking lot, along with Lena's Honda. They were probably in there right now, planning their next move, figuring out how to manage the situation I'd created by discovering their secret. Let them plan. I had plans of my own. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Carter Bell. We need to talk." I stared at the message for a long moment and then typed back, "No, we don't. I think we do. This situation affects all of us. The only thing that affects me is my wife's betrayal. You're just the symptom. Meet me at my office at 6 p.m. We can discuss this like civilized men. Civilized men don't impregnate other men's wives." No response for several minutes. Then, "This doesn't have to get ugly, Drew." I smiled grimly as I typed my reply. "Too late for that, Carter. It's already ugly." Carter Bell's office occupied the top floor of the Prestige Marketing building, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor. He was waiting for me when I arrived at 6 p.m. sharp, standing behind his mahogany desk like a general preparing for battle. "Drew, thank you for coming. Let's skip the pleasantries. You wanted to talk, so talk." Carter gestured to a leather chair across from his desk. "Please, sit. I'll stand." He studied me for a moment, probably trying to gauge how much trouble I was going to cause. Carter was taller than me, better dressed, more polished, everything I wasn't. But there was something nervous in his eyes, a flicker of uncertainty that told me he wasn't as confident as he appeared. "This is an unfortunate situation," he began. "Unfortunate?" I laughed. "That's what you call sleeping with my wife and getting her pregnant? Lena and I have a business arrangement?" "Cut the shit, Carter. I've read the emails. I know about your promises, your plans for the future, your opinions about my marriage." His composure slipped slightly. "You violated her privacy. She violated our marriage vows. I think that trumps email etiquette." Carter moved around his desk, trying to establish dominance through proximity. "Look, I understand you're upset. But Lena made her choice freely. No one forced her into this arrangement." "Arrangement. You keep using that word like it makes this respectable." It is respectable. Surrogacy between strangers is legitimate. Surrogacy between a boss and his married employee, complete with promises of partnerships and new lives together, that's just adultery with a contract. Carter's jaw tightened. "You're oversimplifying a complex situation." "Am I?" "Because it seems pretty simple to me. You wanted my wife, so you found a way to buy her. I offered her opportunities you never could." The words hung in the air between us, loaded with contempt. There it was. The real Carter Bell. The man who saw everything in terms of what he could acquire and what others couldn't afford. "Opportunities," I repeated, "like carrying your baby and leaving her husband. Like having a real career, instead of being married to a small-town contractor who fixes toilets for a living." The insult was calculated, designed to make me lose my temper. But anger was a luxury I couldn't afford right now. I needed information, leverage, something I could use against both of them. "Is that what you told her? That she was too good for me?" I didn't have to tell her anything. Lena's smart enough to recognize her own potential. "Smart enough to know you're married too?" Carter's expression hardened. "My marriage is complicated." "Complicated how? Does your wife know about your business arrangements?" "Patricia and I have an understanding." "Does that understanding include you fathering children with your employees?" For the first time, Carter looked genuinely uncomfortable. "My personal life is none of your business. It became my business when you made my wife part of it." Carter walked back to his desk, putting distance between us. "What do you want, Drew?" "What do I want?" I pretended to consider the question. "I want my wife to not be pregnant with another man's child. I want 12 years of marriage to mean something. I want to trust the woman I love. That's not realistic?" "You're right, it's not. So let me tell you what I'm going to do instead." Carter leaned forward, suddenly alert. "I'm going to make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of man you are. The kind who preys on married employees and breaks up families for sport. You're threatening me? I'm informing you. There's a difference. Carter's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his face went pale. Shit. Problem? He was staring at his phone screen, his confidence evaporating in real time. How did I what? Carter turned his phone toward me. The screen showed his business Facebook page. But something was wrong. Instead of the usual professional posts about marketing success and client satisfaction, there was a new post at the top. Prestige marketing. Where we don't just sell your business. We sell our employees, too. Ask Carter Bell about our special surrogacy services. Below the text was a photo. Carter and Lena at what looked like a restaurant, sitting close together, his hand on her arm. They looked intimate, conspiratorial, like lovers, not business associates. I didn't post that, I said honestly. Carter was frantically typing, trying to delete the post. Then who? His office door opened, and Lena walked in. She looked frantic, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Carter, we have a problem. Someone's posting things about us online, and she stopped when she saw me. What's he doing here? Your husband and I were having a discussion about discretion, Carter said, still trying to delete the Facebook post. Apparently, he's not interested in keeping this private. I told you, I didn't post anything. Lena looked between us, confusion and fear warring on her face. Then who did? Carter's phone rang. He answered with a sharp, "What?" Then his face went ashen. Are you sure? All of them. He hung up and sank into his chair. That was Monica from downstairs? Someone sent screenshots of our emails to every client on our mailing list. What? Lena grabbed his phone, scrolling through messages. Oh, God. Oh, God. This is a disaster. I watched them panic with a mixture of satisfaction and confusion. Someone was destroying their reputations in real time. But it wasn't me. I'd planned to use the information eventually, but this was too fast, too public. We need to do damage control, Lena said. Issue a statement, explain the situation. Explain what? Carter snapped. That I got my married employee pregnant as part of a business arrangement? That's not exactly going to reassure our clients. But if we don't say something, Carter's phone buzzed again. Then again. And again. Each notification seemed to drain more color from his face. What now? Lena asked. Reviews. Someone's posting reviews on every platform. Google, Yelp, Better Business Bureau. Carter read from his screen. Prestige marketing destroyed my marriage. Carter Bell is a predator who targets employees. Don't trust this company with your business or your wife. Lena was scrolling through her own phone now, her breathing getting faster and more shallow. They're tagging me too. Everyone can see this. My parents, my friends, everyone I work with. Who could have done this? Carter demanded, looking at me accusingly. Someone with access to your emails and photos, I said. Someone who knows your business well enough to target the right platforms and clients. That could be anyone in the office? Carter stopped mid-sentence, realization dawning. Monica? Monica? Lena looked confused. Why would Monica do this? Because she applied for the partnership you're getting, Carter said slowly. She's been with the company longer, has better credentials, but I chose you instead. Because of our arrangement? Because of our relationship, Carter corrected, and I could see Lena wince at the distinction. The office door opened again, and a woman I didn't recognize walked in. She was tall, elegant, with silver hair, and the kind of presence that commanded attention. She looked around the room with cold assessment before her gaze settled on Carter. Hello, darling, she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Carter went white. Patricia, what are you doing here? I came to meet your business partner. Patricia Bell's smile was razor sharp as she looked at Lena. You must be the surrogate. Lena made a sound like a wounded animal. Carter, you told me she knew. I told you we had an understanding, Carter said weakly. Oh, we do, Patricia said. I understand that you've been having an affair with your employee and got her pregnant. I understand that you've been promising her a partnership in my company. Yes, darling, my company, since I'm the primary investor. And I understand that you thought I was too stupid to find out. The room fell silent except for the sound of Carter's phone continuing to buzz with notifications. Patricia, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been planning to leave me for your pregnant mistress? That you've been using company resources to support your affair? That you've made us the laughingstock of this entire town? Patricia turned to Lena, who was pressed against the wall like a cornered animal. And you, dear, did you really think Carter was going to leave his wife for you? Did you think he was going to give you half of everything he's built? He promised he promised you a partnership in a company I own, stock in a business that's about to be worthless thanks to this scandal. A future with a man who's going to be lucky if he can get a job selling insurance after this. Carter found his voice. You can't destroy the business because you're angry? Watch me. Patricia's smile was terrifying in its coldness. I'm calling an emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. By noon, you'll be unemployed. Both of you. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and Carter, I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer will be in touch. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like a death knell. Lena slumped into a chair, her face in her hands. This is a nightmare. This can't be happening. Carter was staring at his phone, watching his professional life disintegrate in real time. 20 years building this business, and it's gone in one afternoon. I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to play house with a married woman, I said. Lena looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. Drew, please. I know I made mistakes, but I need you now. We can get through this together. Together? I stared at her in disbelief. Lena, you're pregnant with his child. You were planning to leave me for him. What part of that suggests we're in this together? I was confused, scared about our finances. You were greedy, and now you're desperate. Carter stood up abruptly. Get out, both of you. I need to think. Carter, Lena started. Get out, he shouted, and for the first time he looked genuinely dangerous. Lena and I left together, riding the elevator down in tense silence. In the parking lot, she grabbed my arm. Drew, please. I know I hurt you, but I'm still your wife. I'm still the woman you married. No, I said, gently removing her hand from my arm. The woman I married wouldn't have done this. I don't know who you are anymore, Lena, but you're not her. I walked away, leaving her standing alone in the parking lot of a business that would probably be closed by.